Hey folks, Jonathan here. Decided I would check and see how close this radiator is to the hood, and what we're going to do, we're going to use some Play-Doh. I haven't played with none in a, well, I don't even know if I ever played with any. I didn't get much new toys, so we're going to get some Play-Doh, and we're actually going to put some up, and probably toward the front, because that hood curves, so you know that's going to be the closest spot. So we'll get some toward the front, and then we're going to get some right here on top of the radiator cap. And we'll close the hood down and see if we can figure out how much clearance we've got, and just if we could raise it some more if we wanted to. So, alright, we'll get it set up and show you. Okay, this is how we're going to do it. We're using bright orange here because it matches the engine. We wouldn't want to throw things off too much there. But it's about fluorescent. But we're going to close it down, and then we'll raise it up and see what it looks like. Well, we closed it and opened it back up, and didn't touch it at all. So I think we're going to, instead of raising it or anything, we're just going to get another color and add some more here and see if we can get it up higher so we can figure it out. Okay, and we'll see if this works. This is quite a bit higher, and might set the camera up here and close it and open it back so you can see it. Okay, we got some results anyway, and you can see where it hit it here and curved it down, and actually I can see a little bit of blue right here, so that tells me that it's high, but we've got lower spots. So I think what I'm going to do, I don't think we hit this anywhere. We may have hit it right on the edge, but what I'm going to do is move these over. We'll take these loose and then move them so they actually will hit this rail, and that'll give us a real accurate reading there. Let me move them over and then I'll show you. Okay, I wanted to keep this one on the cap, so what I did, I just got it over this way a little bit and move this one over to the side about where one of them rails will be. So this should give us an accurate you know, height on what we need. We'll try it here and see what it looks like. And there we go. We actually hit here, and this is evidently running up beside, so we're not going to have any issue with it. But it's just hitting on the brace. So at the angle that is, the radiator where it's at, we couldn't go up much without it starting to hit it. And so we may just leave it where it's at. And even though we do have plenty of clearance up here, if we went in with the radiator some, it would be no problem to come up. And we may or may not do that, but you know, we can get by with where it's at. And I spoke with Charlie. We're going to get together here this week and do the move the necks on this thing. But that sure showed us what we've got going on. So hopefully you can see that in the video. It's pretty bright out here with the sun. Okay, next thing, I got real lucky. The rat rod that we built, you know, I had changed the yoke in the back on the transmission over, and I actually checked this drive shaft that we've got that we're going to put in this thing, and it wouldn't fit. And I was hoping maybe one of the yokes would fit, and it wouldn't fit in it, but it actually, the front U-joint fits directly in the transmission on this. So evidently that was a different yoke. This could have come out of a 1 ton instead of a 3/4 or something like that, you know, the parts transmission we used. So anyway, what I'm getting to is our front yoke is right on our drive shaft. Now we're still going to have to shorten the drive shaft and dial indicate it in, and then we'll have to shorten the rear one and change the yoke on the rear one. I hadn't found a yoke yet for it, but I'm sure I've got one around here somewhere. So I think that's what we're going to do next, and you know, since we know what what we've got on our hood, I think we might just leave this here. You know, we could go up just a little bit. We're going to start getting close to the front here, and I don't need it rubbing a hole in it. And but that gives us a good idea. And now I've got some Play-Doh to play with. And actually, I think, yeah, here's another spot I didn't even catch right through here, which would have been right here. So, you know, if we'd have tried that before we raised the radiator, I don't think we'd have got enough Play-Doh on there to get to it, but I think everything's fine. And so we'll get on the drive shaft and get it cut. What we'll do is we'll cut the yoke off from the shaft, cut the shaft to length, then we will mount our carrier bearing, our center support bearing, and then what I'll do is I'll set up a dial indicator on a magnetic mount, and we'll get under there and dial indicate it in, and that way we can go ahead and you know, get the drive shaft welded up there. And then we'll have to work with the back. I'm going to have to get the brakes unstuck on the back before we can, you know, dial indicate the actual rear drive shaft, because we'll have to put it in, and then rear end's going to have to be turning. And I think both wheels are locked on the back right now, so I'll have to get the drums off, beat them off, do what we got to do to get them freed up. The front's free, so we'll do that. We'll keep moving on. Okay, folks, here's our front drive shaft, and you can see it slides right up in the yoke. Got lucky. Right size U-joint. What we're going to do, we're going to make this a short shaft. We're actually going to use this cross member, which is, you know, already here, and we're going to actually bolt our support bearing into it. And I think I'm going to go on the back side of it, and there's actually some holes here that might be pretty close, but either way, we'll go ahead and do that, get it in here, and then we'll get a measurement first, of course, and then we're going to cut the shaft, and I'll take you in the shop and show you how I'm going to do that. Like I said, we're just going to measure from the farthest point on the joint to where the center of where we want to put our carrier bearing. And you know, we're not looking for an exact length or anything. We're just looking for enough, you know, to get that right, and then we will get our good length on our rear shaft. And I think it works a little better if you leave your rear shaft longer. The longer you can leave it, you know, the better off you are. And front shafts, it don't hurt to be short, because you don't have any up and down motion in it. It pretty much stays the same. So we'll go ahead and get you in there where we can start getting it cut. Alright, show you more. Okay, folks, we have measured this out, and what we need is from this tip to the center of our carrier bearing, or center support bearing, is 1 foot 11 inches, 23 inches, and this is actually 2 foot 11, so we got to take 12 inches out exactly. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with cutting up here, and what I'm going to use is the cutoff wheel, and grab it, laying behind me here. We're just going to use the regular cutoff wheel, and we're going to actually cut it as close to the weld as we can get it, but not being on the weld. And we're going to go all the way around it, but we're only going to go about a 1/16 deep. And what we're trying to do is separate the tube from the actual piece that's pressed in. And so we're going to go ahead and do that now. And when I get it loose and ready to knock out of there, I'll show you. And then I'll measure 12 inches exactly from here, you know, back, cut this, square it up good, and, you know, as good as we can get it. And then we'll go ahead and move the yoke back. Now what you got to watch also is, you know, this is actually located, and I'll show you this end. If you notice, there's a double spline here on top, and it's located like that so so you can, you know, line up your yokes right. So we've got to make sure that when we go back, and like I said, it'll be in the truck when we do it, we got to go back, we can, you know, get it back where it needs to be. And I usually do that with magnetic levels. You can put a level on this one, and hopefully we can get a level to sit between the two splines here, because, you know, it's, like I said, it's doubled right here, if you can see. So that way your yoke only fits on one way, or your spline always fits on one way. But you know, this is something we can also do in the lathe, and we can dial indicate it in and weld it up in the lathe. But this is the quick way to do it. This is the way that we done it on the rat rod build, but this is the way I do it on, you know, on my big trucks. But I want to do it this way because not everybody has a lathe at home, so this will show you, you know, how we go about it. But I'll go ahead and get this thing cut, and then I can show you more. Okay, folks, I think I've got it cut enough where it's ready to come. Let's see what we can do. Do this with one hand here. Okay. Now I should have already had tape around these joints. I usually do that, and I forgot on this one, but you can see we've still got quite a bit to be able to slide back into, you know, after we get it cut, and we'll slide it right up to it, and then we can dial indicate it in under the truck. So now I'm going to go ahead and do 12 inches off this, and I'm just going to use a chop saw to do it, and then I'll take a good square and come up the side and check it all the way around and make sure that we get our cut as good as we can. I mean, this is not perfectly square either, but you know, we want to be as close as we can get them. That way we can, you know, get it on there, slit on there all the way, or as far as we can get it. So, all right, remember that's 12 inches we're taking out. So, all right, show you more. Okay, folks, here's what we've got. You can see I've got some gap around it, not a big deal. We've got it pressed in there. I mean, it's tight. It's not like it's going to fall out or anything. So, and we got our length right. And what I did was I took a level, and magnetic level. I was sitting here looking for it. I don't know where I put it. I just took a magnetic level and put on there and leveled this, and then went through and put it on my piece here on the two splines, and you know, looked at it real good to make sure that's where it was, and I got it just as level as we can get it. And now what we're going to do is drill our holes for our cross member, or in our cross member, and I'm going to go ahead and strap this in with the straps tight, just like I would do if I was, you know, getting ready to drive it, you know, or finishing it up. And then we'll put the dial indicator on, and probably set it somewhere in here, and you know, make sure we got a good clean surface, and then we'll spin this thing, and then we'll tap it until we get it, you know, right on if we can. Sometimes you have to weld one side, but this is pretty tight, so I think we'll be fine. But we'll get it where we want it. We'll tack it, we'll check it again, tack it again, check it again, and we'll do that quite a few times before we put the final weld on it. And you know, that way anybody that wants to do this and don't have a lathe or something like that, you know, it's not that hard to do. And I've been really hard on these things. If you remember, or if you watched the rat rod build, the last one, that last little burnout I done, I know, you know, the truck didn't have a lot of power anyway. I mean, it's just a little 236 diesel, but that last burnout I done, I actually backed up and got it rolling back real good, and then dumped the clutch in second gear. And you know, if it was going to break, it would have broke right then. So, you know, if you do it like this, I've ground into their old weld. You know, I've ground into our new stuff to get it clean. And if you put a really good bead in there and put some heat on it, I mean, really get it to penetrate, and go around it with a good pretty bead, you know, you won't have any trouble at all with it. And we'll go ahead and get them holes drilled and get it up in there, and then I'll show you how to dial indicate it. Okay, folks, drive shaft's in. You can see I've still got my place where I need to weld it at. And what I've done is I've set up the dial indicator. And here's how I done it. I actually clamped a piece of, I think it's 3/4 by 3/4 solid up here, and clamps here on the other side. But I've done that so I could get a, you know, the magnetic mount to be full contact. And a magnet, of course, grabs to a solid piece a lot better than a thin piece anyway. This is not real thin, but you know, with paint on it and such. So I went ahead and clamped that on. We've got it good and sturdy where it's at on the cross member, and we've brought it back probably 8 inches maybe from the front. And you know, we can move it up if we need to as we do it, but I think we can get it from there. I'm going to show you how far it's out. I haven't done anything yet, no tapping or anything. And see, there's 40, there's 50, 60. So looks like we're about 30 thousandths out. 30 thousandths total. So that's actually really close for you know, the first try here. So we can just tap it. We'll get it where it's closest to us. About there. And if I can find my hammer. Okay, we'll show you what we've got now, and then I think it's good enough to go ahead and tack it. Looks like we're about 5 off. It's jumping down, but it's jumping back up real quick, so we'll have to fight with it a little bit to get that out of it, but we'll see what we can do with it. Okay, folks, got it as close as it's going to get. As you can see, if I move it by hand, I can make that needle move a little bit, so I'm trying to be careful when I turn it. And it's moving just a couple thousandths back and forth, but it's moving quick, so it's absolutely as close as we're going to get it, and it won't cause any trouble. I've got it tacked in a couple places, so we'll just do a few more tacks around it, and then I'll get her welded up, and I'm sure she'll run fine. And alright, show you when I get her welded. Okay, folks, we've got her welded up here, ready to go. I'm not going to do much more because I'm going to have to get some argon or some Unimix actually for my welder, but we do got, you know, got the front one done anyway. So turned out good. Don't see it as being any problems at all, and we can find us a yoke and get the back one done next, and keep rolling right along on it. Appreciate everybody watching. Bye.